G'day, it's Robbie again. Well, quite a few years ago, what, 2 or 3 years ago, I did a review of this Hilda 400 watt electric die grinder, and it's a brilliant piece of kit. It's one of my favourite tools, power tools in the workshop. It's my go-to tool if I want to cut off a bit of, small diameter rod or grind something or cut a section of steel out of something. It's just a fantastic unit. And what makes it even more special is that you can mount it on your metal lathe, and it's a simple matter of just make up a clamp for it. It just fits on the nose, and then you can use it as a TPG, do all the normal stuff you use TPGs for, and cross drilling, longitudinal drilling. You can use it for doing a bit of light milling, on stuff in the chuck. Super handy. So anyway, I was using it the other day and I overtaxed it. I was working it very hard, and I should have been more careful, and all my fault. I burned it out. No fault of the tool, it was just me. I just overstressed it. So straight away I ordered a new one, because this is indispensable. I just like, wow, what am I going to do now? So I got another one on order, and then when I was looking on the Banggood website, I noticed that they've got there's several alternatives to the Hilda brand, which is sold as Drill Pro, and they come in various flavours, I suppose you could say, but they're all basically similar to this unit in that they have the same issue with the nose, in that it's originally a cast nose. It's got a very slight taper in it, and it's just enough to be a bit of a nuisance when you clamp it up with a tool post clamp. So, okay, you can machine it back parallel, as I've done here, and I showed how to do that in an earlier video. But anyway, I was surprised to see that they've got a new one for sale, which looks pretty similar. It's a little bit more powerful, and the nose on the unit appears to be machined, all done, ready to go. Not only that, but this is only a 220 volt unit, and I had a lot of people in America, the USA, ask me, can you get this in 110 volts? And the answer was no, and Banggood didn't have any 110 volt units for sale. Well, not only is this other unit I'm going to look at today better, in that it has this machine nose, but it also comes in 2 voltages, 110 or 220. So if you're in the USA, this is really good news for you, because you're not restricted. You're not going to have voltage problems with it. You just get the voltage you want and away you go. So okay, I'll put up some screen grabs on the specification for the original Hilda, which was the first unit that Banggood sold, the 400 watt unit. So we'll look at those now. Okay, so now we'll look at the specifications and some screen grabs for the new kit on the block. So here's the box, here's the new unit. It's a strictly no frills package, so they've obviously tried to get the cost down. This works out a little bit cheaper than the Hilda. Now the Hilda comes with a full range of accessories, as you would have seen in the screen grabs. And the Hilda costs $64 Australian delivered. This one, which is 480 watt versus 400, is $59 Australian delivered. And you save a bit by not getting the accessories. I've got plenty of accessories. These will take all of the Dremel accessories and larger. The advantage with these is You know, they have a 6mm chuck, which is way better than using collets because it means you can feed it any size item that will go in the chuck, you know, drills, arbors, whatever. Okay, now it comes with a voltage plug, an adapter, converter, because this comes with a European socket, in this case being 220, and of course the 110 comes on an American socket. That was nice, they tossed that in. I already had a couple, but anyway, it's handy to have. So let's open the box and look inside and see what this unit's like. I haven't actually taken this out yet, I've just lifted the lid earlier. So here it is. Here it is. So we have an owner's manual in English. And it's all the usual stuff, you know, safety related, a lot of it. But anyway, it's in English, so that's something. And yeah, okay, moving on. And here's the unit. Pretty weighty, it's good. And you also get some 2 little grindstones, which are going to be handy, and some spare brushes. You get spare brushes with the Hilda version as well, but anyway, that's a nice touch, so that's good. Okay, so you get a chuck key. Yeah, having a chuck on these, it's way, way, way better than other die grinders that are around, because you're not restricted in any way with what you put in it. It's just so much better. Okay, nice heavy quality cord. It's good, it's not wimpy, you know, it's a nice solid cord. And here she be. Here she be. And I've got to say, it looks pretty damn good. On-off switch. Similar setup to the Hilda. The castings are a little bit different. Of course, you've got removable brushes, interchangeable brushes. Cooling vents at the back. And this is the all-important bit, the nose. Let's have, oh, look at, oh yes, yes, it's machined, thank you. There was one photo on their webpage that showed it painted, but all the rest showed it machined, and I thought, I hope this is machined, you know. Oh yeah, awesome. Okay, I'll move the camera a little bit so I can have a better look at this. Right, so is that machined or is that like a collar? Let's have a look. Yeah, it is machined, so it's actually, it looks a little bit like a push-on collar, doesn't it? But it's not, it's machined. You can see there's a cutout there, so the chuck key goes in here. So that's to give it some clearance. So they brought that shield down longer than on the Hilda. I'll compare it to the Hilda and we'll just have a look and see what the difference is. So here's the Hilda, and the nose is considerably longer. You've got a lot more gripping space. That's a good thing. Overall, the dimensions are pretty similar. You can see that it looks very similar. It's got the speed control wheel. It's got the switch. Once again, the castings are different. The brushes are the same sort of setup. And same size chuck. It's a good quality chuck on this one. The chuck's actually only just sitting on it temporarily. I took it off to use it on something else. So yeah. Okay, let's measure the diameter and see how they compare. 35.74 after I machined it. 37.34. which is probably what the Hilda was before I machined it. 37.28. Yeah, that's a bit better. Okay, I'll see if my clamp will fit on. I'm going to have to open it up slightly, just a tad. It's not going to go on. So this is slightly bigger diameter than the Hilda, even though I've machined the Hilda, which would go into here. This won't go in, so I'm going to have to open this up just a tad. Not very much at all, really. It's only a mil or two, and yeah, that's all doable. No problem. So, yeah, that's good. When you compare the Hilda cord to this cord, this is actually a heavier cord. The plug's the same sort of plug, once again European. So you get a heavier cord with this other unit, and I really like what I see. It's good. I just checked the cord length, and it's exactly the same length as on the Hilda. It's about 1 metre. It's yeah, good. Okay, so she's plugged in. Turn the speed back. It's got a nice wheel, very similar feel to the, very similar to the Hilda all over. Okay. Very good. It's got less vibration than the Hilda. It seems to be better balanced. The Hilda had a little bit of a buzz, but this is good. This is a lot better. So it sucks air in through the back here and it blows out the front. So it's going to blow the grindings and the cuttings away from whatever you're working on. It's not going to suck it through the unit. So that's a good design too. So they've thought this out pretty well. And the casting and machining looks first class. I mean, it looked like it was not quite as good in the photos, but when you look at it, it's actually very, very good. There's no burrs or anything. Yeah, I got no complaints at all with the build. Yeah. Looks pretty good. Good weight. It's just nice. Very good. I reckon it's slightly heavier than the Hilda. I haven't got any scales, I can't weigh it. Not that it really matters, but there's probably not much in it really. Maybe a tad, not much. Another good feature of the nose is that having that long nose and the cutout to shield the chuck, you can also put the key in, and that will then effectively lock the spindle when you want to tighten or untighten the nut on the end to put discs on and off. So yeah, it's handy, really handy. So far so good. Now the only thing I can fault at this stage is that the little manual shows that you get a spanner to lock the armature shaft that would normally go in through this slot here, and there's 2 flats on the armature shaft, so if you ever want to take the chuck off for whatever reason, you just lock the shaft with the spanner, then it just unscrews off. This is the packet and there's no spanner, so either the spanner was left out or the spanner's not included. I don't know. You get one with the Hilda, and yeah, that's something that Banggood might want to look at, see what's going on. Moving on. One thing I do prefer with the Hilda versus the new one is the way they've done the switch. You can just slide your thumb in and turn it on. There's plenty of room for big blokey type thumbs. The switch can't be accidentally turned on or off when you put it down because it's recessed It's a good setup. This one's not as good. It's got a cover on it, but it's not totally recessed, and it's unlikely to get turned on. It's high enough to stop that, but you've got this sharp edge here which isn't as nice as just sliding your thumb in. So if they were looking to improve this even further, I think that'd be a good idea to pick up on the way the Hilda switch has been done. It's definitely a better setup, I think. Apart from that, the switch looks pretty much the same. It's the same size. I don't see much difference, and they're both okay to use, but personal choice, I prefer this one. Is it 480 watt? Well, we'll find out. I've got a power meter here, so I'll plug it in and see what the story is. $472, so that's close to 480, so yeah, that's around the mark. You can see there it was 495. Well, it's supposed to be 480 under load. We're just using startup as the maximum draw, which should be a peak reading. So it's around the mark. I'd say it's probably a fairly honest figure, 480. Okay, let's check the speed on this thing. I'll put a bit of chalk on a cutting disc. That should do the job, I think. And we'll check it with a laser measure. $25,139. So she's not doing 30,000, but she's doing a fair old turn of knots, so that's quite acceptable. I didn't expect it to be spot on, and it might be a little bit tight. It might still be wearing in. So anyway, we got 25,000 out of it on the maximum speed. We'll try the minimum speed now. $16,000. So that's pretty much in line with what I expected. And what's on the unit? What do they say on here? 5,000. Okay, let's just check that again. So it's actually doing 16,000. That's not what they said. Okay, let's try the same disc, test disc, in the little mini lathe, and I'll spin it up to full speed and we'll check it with the meter. So there's only 10 RPM between the 2 meters, so obviously this is reading accurately and, well, good enough. So the variation is something to do with the die grinder. Well, to clarify this low speed issue, I went back through my videos, my earlier ones, and I found I had actually done a video on this same issue with the Drill Pro Hilda 400 watt unit. Exactly the same situation. When I finally got around to testing the low speed range of the unit, instead of pulling 5,000 RPM, the same as this one, it was actually pulling 17,000 RPM. I mean, we were pulling 16,000. But this one, of course, hasn't freed up yet. The Hilda initially pulled slightly lower top speed than quoted, but then over time that increased as the thing loosened up. You know, the bearings loosen up mainly, and that's what happens. But that doesn't explain why that figure is so low. That is total nonsense, that figure. The same as it is with the Drill Pro, the Hilda, totally way off the mark. And these are not units you would really use, or that I would recommend you use for drilling, because you're either going to burn up the job or you're going to burn up the drill tip. But no, these things are really meant for grinding and cutting. That's what they excel at, and that's what, yep, if you're going to buy one, that's what you should use it for. Use a drill for drilling. Okay, moving on. Okay, first we'll try some cutting. These are some arbors that I normally fit in it. There's a little Dremel one. These are homemade Dremel one. Here's a bigger disc and 1 mil thick. And here's another arbor that was salvaged from a wrecked angle grinder. So that's out the driver nose on an angle grinder. Using up the old angle grinder grinding discs, you know, because they're too small for an angle grinder, but they're perfect to work on this. So I'll try cutting some rod with it, which is what I would normally use it for quite regularly. So yeah, I mean, if you were to try and cut that with a hacksaw, it'd be bouncing all over the place. You'd probably bend it, whereas this disc like this will go through it easy peasy. Okay, so we're on the slow speed. Easy as that. Crank her up a bit. Easy as that. I mean, this is where these things really shine. They're brilliant for this sort of work. Alright, we'll try it with a burr. This is a big raspy one I've got. Now you've got to be careful with these because they can catch easily when you're doing this. So, yeah. Piece of cake. You can see from that bit of smoke coming off, she's spinning a bit fast, for sure. We'll try it on some steel, but you have to be careful. I think you burn up your drills pretty easy with this thing. Yeah, we'll do it, but you got to be careful because you can stall these pretty easy. And just before I wrap up the review, here's a shot of it mounted in the tool post in the holder. I opened that up in the forge jaw, it didn't take long, and it's all lined up absolutely 100%, as you can see. Just slid it in, bolted it up, no fiddling around. It straight away went to the exact position. So yeah, it's a good unit. It's a very, very good unit, and you'll be able to grind all your drill chucks and whatever with it, you know, put away whatever stones you want in there, and yeah. I won't do any because we're going to go over time otherwise, but certainly this is one of the best things for it, and as you can see, there's plenty of mount there for it to grip in, and it's the bee's knees. So would I buy it? Yes, I certainly would. It's a great die grinder, and you've got to remember that's what it is. It's a die grinder. It's not a drill, and you know, they're not really meant for drilling. They're just going to burn up the drills, and even that speed is way too high, 5,000 for drilling steel, way too high. It's even sort of on the high side for wood. So yeah, these are meant for grinding, but this one is meant for mounting, and this is something the Hilda wasn't really designed for originally. It's just hand holding, but this one is purposely built. They've been listening to users, I think, because yeah, you get the nose mount, you get the dual voltage, well, selectable voltage when you buy it. It's not selectable on the unit. They're purposely made units, so you have to specify the voltage you want when you buy it. But certainly you can get 110, which is what all Americans with 110 have been screaming out for a long time as far as these are concerned. And yeah, I think there will be a bit of a rush on these because it's really a nice unit. Okay, now the link to the webpage is in the video description, and it's going to be a popular item. It's certainly one step up on the Hilda, in my opinion, which was already a fantastic unit as far as I was concerned. So yeah, well worth considering. Okay, that's it from me. I'll see you next time. Cheers.